Now, taking a look at one of the top stories today in our country, Canadian lumber is taking another hit from U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war. New tariffs announced last month are now in effect. They include a global tariff on 10% of all softwood lumber and timber entering the U.S. That's now added to the 35% duty already in place. Some finished wood products like cabinets, vanities, and upholstered furniture are also being hit. They will face a 25% tariff with a further increase on January 1st. The CBC's Marina von Stackelberg has more on this story from Ottawa.
Well, when Mark Carney and Donald Trump had the recent meeting in the Oval Office, they talked a lot about this idea of formulas, the possibility of specific deals for these sectoral tariffs that are hitting specific industries, Canadian industries, so hard. Could there potentially be a quota arrangement? Could this be key to lifting these tariffs on Canadian lumber? And is there really bandwidth for a deal with Canada with everything else that's going on right now? Softwood lumber is one of the most long-standing trade fights between Canada and the U.S. It goes back well before Donald Trump. The last softwood lumber truce was about a decade ago. Duties go up, they go down, they go through the courts, and any Canadian government assistance to this industry here is seen as an unfair advantage to the American industry. And the American lumber industry has lobbied hard against the Canadian one. The Canadian share of the U.S. market as a result of that has fallen over the last few decades. And for a long time, the Canadian lumber industry was very reluctant for any sort of truce or any sort of limits to their exports into the United States. But with these tariffs, as well as these massive forest fires that has hurt so much of this bulk industry, there could be change. Have a listen to Melanie Joly, the industry minister. She was asked about these softwood tariffs earlier today.
Fundamentally, what we need to do is we need to buy more Canadian. We need to help our workers in the sector. We need to be there for the softwood lumber industry. And a company like here today is showing that's the case. Because what are you seeing across this plant? You're seeing that there is softwood everywhere. And this will be part of the construction of our new houses, our new homes in the coming months. So that's good news as well. But we need to do more.
Do more. Definitely one of these tariffs that the Canadian government is trying to get removed. It's quite interesting. The U.S. industry has been so focused on keeping Canadian lumber out of the American market that now in the U.S. there are actually fewer tariffs on Russian lumber than Canadian lumber.
And Marina, what kind of an impact will this additional 10% have on the industry?
Well, this is just another pile on this industry that has already been hurt by these tariffs. Interestingly, too, kitchen cabinets that are made out of wood in Canada will also be facing a 25% tariff now. But in some ways, this is mutual destruction. This hurts the Canadian industry, of course, but it also hurts the American economy because U.S. builders, not only do they prefer Canadian wood because it is seen as stronger because it grows in a colder climate, but the mills in the U.S. can't meet the demand that is needed for housing. We know that housing starts are already down in the United States, in part because of these higher costs to build homes. The New Brunswick Premier actually wrote a letter to Prime Minister Carney pleading with him to make these softwood lumber tariffs a top priority in negotiations with U.S. President Donald Trump. She was actually musing over the weekend on Rosie Barton Live about the possibility of retaliation from her province specifically in return for these latest harms. Have a listen to what she had to say.
The U.S. actually needs New Brunswick lumber. We make the best wood for home building, and certainly on the east coast of the U.S., they don't have the supply to build the kind of homes that they need and that their people are asking for. So there is some leverage in simply the fact that they can't do this without our wood.
Some leverage for the Canadian industry, but also a potential for the Canadian industry to be very badly hurt. Susan Holt said in some communities, 1 of 11 workers depend on this industry in New Brunswick. She basically said this would be an immediate and severe, in her words, impact if these mills are forced to slow down production or close altogether.
The CBC's Marina von Stackelberg in Ottawa. Thank you.